Hello everyone and welcome to another Naval Action Basics video. In today's video we're going to be covering a full combat. In the first episode we talked about sailing and how to maneuver your ship both in the open world and in combat. The second video we talked about gunnery, how to use your guns to full effect, and now we'll combine those two videos into a full combat. However, before we start to fighting target to track down and hunt, we have to make sure our ship is ready to sail. Bringing up the UI, Control H, I can in the bottom check my ship first, that I have all the cannons I need, that my upgrades are installed. More on upgrades later, but these are to improve the combat ability to the ship, and that I have my books, basically unlocked by experience, installed as well. Now, another thing I need to make sure of is my crew. Pressing the hat button down here is my crew management, or you can hotkey it by pressing O. I need to make sure that my ship is fully crewed. And you see here I only have 294 out of 650. So if I move the slider down here, I can allocate crew to my ship, and it will subtract from my free crew over here. Make sure always to fill up your available free crew when you are in port, as you can actually recrew ships while at sea. I'll show you that after the combat. Make sure if you have the money, hire all the free crew you can, and when you're done, press apply. Next thing we need is to check the hold of the ship. For now, it is all empty. If we want to go trading, we need to make sure our trade items are put into the hold. And if we want to go into combat, we need to make sure that we have repairs. We can repair both in and out of combat and stay operational at sea. If I go into my inventory, I have a mixed amount of repairs, rig repairs, rum to repair my crew, heal my crew, and hull repairs to repair my hull. Now, how much to take is a bit of a preference, but there is something that will help you guide you along. If you press the crossed anchors, the Navy menu, our key is N, it will bring up a list of the ships, both in this port and in other. Now for this one, if I hover over the rank or class number, it brings up the stats of the ship. It also shows you how many hull repairs it takes per repair cycle, and how many rig repairs it takes per rig repair cycle. In this case, my Admiral consumes 25 hull repairs per each cycle and 19 rig repairs. If I was to look at my Implacable, below it, you'll see it only takes 24 hull repairs and 18 rig. Another ship like the Indian only takes 4 hull repairs and 7 rig repairs. This is all dependent on the size of your ship and the woods they are made of. Now, going back to the Admiral, 25 hull repairs per cycle and 19 rig repairs per cycle. How many repairs you take into combat is a bit of a personal thing, and depending on what you want to do. If you're on a trade mission or running something else and you just want to be ready for a random fight, take a few cycles of repairs. If you're going out fully combat, grinding XP, or doing combat missions, my personal preference is 10 cycles of repairs. This gives me the ability to fight larger ships, usually doing between 3 and 5 repair cycles in a full combat, and to have enough to do 2 to 3 combats and still repair while at sea. So in this case, I generally go by 10 cycles of repair. So as any good TV chef, I have prepared the amount I want to take. First off, the hull repairs. I use 25 per cycle, therefore I'll take 250 repairs. You'll note that the weight of my ship is going up. The amount of repairs you have in your hold will also affect, that'll be weird, however, affect how much hold space you have and how much weight is left to be used on your ship. Going up from 300 to 600 something. Going to rig repairs, I personally only ever bring one full cycle of rig repairs. This means that if I'm unlucky and lose my bowsprit or a mast in game in combat, I can actually get that mast replaced. If I don't have a full cycle of repairs, I cannot replace my bowsprit. So 19 it is. Rum is the last one. Rum replenishes your crew over time. Basically, it gives them better morale and apparently makes bleeding stops and limbs regrow. On the Deruda, I have 650 crew. Haven't checked, and there's no way to check in game, but you can check out of game how much it needs per cycle. It's around 280 something. I generally just go by 600. Rum doesn't weigh as much as repairs. If you hover over an item, you'll see the repair. Each rig or hull repair weighs 1, but the rum only weighs 0.1. I can allow myself a bit more rum to repair my crew in combat. Remember what I said before, I can replenish my crew in between combats. So now we are ready to go out and find a target. One thing as you get into the game, worth going up to your upper right hand corner and check your perks. It's a hotkey I. Perk points are gained as you progress through the game, and at different levels you have different amount of points. This is my combat setup. I will not go into how you should set up your perk points. This is just my preference. There's different ways to use your perk points, either when you're trading, when you're doing combat in frigates or lighter ships, or when you're doing line ships. This is my personal combat setup. Bigger hold, sextant, so I'll only know where I am on the map. Repair, so my guns are loaded when the combat starts. And both emergency perks, meaning I'll get a better repair on my ship, meaning I'll last longer. This is just my preference. So, let's leave port and find ourselves a target. So welcome back to the open world. As we have been sailing a bit, we've finally seen a sail on the horizon. On our port side is another ship. To find out what ship it is, move your mouse over it and left click the ship. You'll see in the top right hand corner, it will show the nationality, in this case British, the type of ship, and whether it has a fleet or not. This says no fleet, makes it a good target for us. If it says either 2 or any other number, it means that the ship will have accompanying ships and it will be a much harder fight. Now, this is a class 2 ship, slightly bigger than ours, which means for me as an experienced player, it's more of a fun fight than picking a smaller target. As you begin in naval action, I do suggest sticking to ships of your own size or slightly smaller, or preferably trade ships. When you get a bit of experience in, you can start picking bigger targets and punch above your own weight. When you get accustomed to your ship, I do suggest you start picking bigger targets, as it will increase the XP amount you get and can also increase the loot you get. The bigger targets, the bigger experience. Now, as I've left clicked the enemy ship, you'll notice there's a circle around him. And for now, the attack button is grayed out. I cannot attack him. I need to move my ship within that white circle to be able to initiate a combat. Your position within that circle will represent your position relative to the enemy as the combat starts. So if you're side by side, as I'm coming now, the combat will start side by side. A good position to initiate a combat is either flat against the side if the target is a smaller target than yours and easy to take down. If it's a bigger target, or you don't want to trade broadsides, preferably start from behind him. Now, let's get in. Now, you'll see in the touch screen there's a red number counting down. That is the battle time cooldown. I have the perk prepared, so all my guns are loaded, but I can change the ammunition out, and I will change out all my main broadsides and my bow guns for chains. Notice the top right hand corner, you'll see the enemy stats. It's a second rate ship with 480 crew, and his guns are currently unloaded. For now, I want to move into a position to fire my chains at his sails to slow him down. This is a personal preference. Some players just like to go on the side of the enemy ship and changing broadside to broadside, just wearing each other down. And this is perfectly viable. However, it will cost you a lot of damage. For each broadside you get off, the enemy is likely to get off his own. Now, he's already fired a broadside at me, but he fired into my bows, making me a smaller target and harder to penetrate. However, he did manage to damage my controls, and my rudder is taking a penalty. To repair it, I can use an urgent repair by pressing 5, bringing up the repair menu, and I can press 4 for urgent repairs. This is an instant fix, but has a cooldown. If I bring up the 5 button again, you'll notice there's a cooldown counter. Now, I have the speed advantage and the maneuverability over this ship. He's slightly larger and slower. I'll try to get in behind him and fire down the length of his ships to maximize the effect of my rounds. We're firing chain shots, so I want to aim high into his masts and sails. Now you'll notice that I don't use all my broadsides at the same time. The reason for this is to spread it out to maximize the effect. I want to be careful here. He's turning and trying to fire his portside broadside into me, so I want to angle a bit. By angling, I increase the side armor thickness and give us a higher ricochet chance. Now, I am slightly undercrewed. I only have 482 out of 589 gun crew needed. So to improve my reload time, I will disable the broadside that is not being used. Now he's just fired, and when I'm fully reloaded, I'll turn into him and get in another broadside. With the first one, we took him down from 100% sails to now 84. I personally prefer getting any enemy ship below 70% of his starting value. That makes it easier for you to control the combat and the maneuvers of the engagement. Once more, I'll try to maneuver in behind him to fire for full effect down the length of his ship, maximizing the damage output. However, do note the wind is now coming in from starboard, making my heel go to my port side. Means I'll have less of an angle to fire with. Currently, I'm at a 2% heel indicated bottom right, bottom left. To decrease the heel, I'll depower my staysails, make my ship straighten up, and as I'm coming in behind him, he'll be turning to try to avoid the effect. Using my maneuverability, I can outturn him. And if I want the turn to be faster, I can use my manual sails to turn the ship faster. For more on manual sails, go back to episode 1 if you haven't watched it to see how to use your sails manually in combat. Now the wind has shifted slightly. I can push on my stay sails and actually have the heel work to my advantage as the wind comes on the other tack. Getting into the best position to fire an optimal broadside can take time, but if you note at the center of the top bar, you have an hour and 30 minutes to complete the combat. So take your time, don't take unnecessary risks, and get to know your ship. Now he's forced into the wind, which will be making him moving backwards. Be careful of this, always maintain a speed over 3.5 knots if the enemy ship has more crew than you, otherwise you may get boarded. Now let's fire. As soon as I've let go of my broadside, I will initiate a hard starboard turn, getting to the other side to use the other broadside and thereby maximize effect. And also, as I'm passing by, make sure to use your stern chasers. Missed by one, but the other one went in. Now I am at a bit of range here and he is turning around. So instead of trying to maneuver back in behind him, being a broadside here, I will take one deck at a time and try to take out as many sails as I can, aiming high because his lower sails are pretty damaged. You need to spread out the effect of your chains by differentiating which part of the sails you're actually aiming for. You can also manually fire your chain shots, one shot at a time, to make sure they go where you want to. Now, my sight is fairly damaged. He's hit me a couple of times with solid broadsides and my armor is down. As your side armor decreases, your thickness of your ship will also decrease, making it easier for him to penetrate and damage your central structure. So, it's time to initiate a repair. Pressing 5 once again brings up the repair menu. 1 is my hull repairs, and if you want to read everything, simply press the pause button. 2 is sails and masts. And 3 is surgeon, healing up my crew. Now, each have its own cooldown, and be careful of the surgeon has a 25-minute cooldown. Pressing 1 will start my repairs. Now, we've got a multitask here. We're going to come in behind him for a rake and then turn off. You'll notice that I need 239 crew to initiate a full repair. However, I do not have 239 free crew. So I will need to allocate crew from either my sailing positions or my gunnery positions in order to fully effect the repair. But first, we'll let the free crew change over, give him a stern rake here, and then we'll redeploy our crew. As you come in for stern rakes, the enemy will try to outmaneuver you. But getting the timing right takes a bit of practice. but it makes good effect as you're firing down the length of the ship into its weakest part. Now have some patience and make sure you get in to the right position to actually fire at your enemy. Now we do have a fair few misses here, but we did manage to hit him 15 times in the rear. Right, we have the wind, he doesn't, and we need to repair, so let's pull away. Going with the wind using our speed and maneuverability, and let him chase us for a second. I do not need to change my sail settings, so I can decrease the amount of crew I have allocated to my sails by simply pressing 6. You'll notice it'll grey out my sailing. It also means that the crew will not be prioritized to sailing positions, but to all others, in this case repairs, gunnery, and survival crew if needed. Survival will be affected automatically if you have taken severe damage and are taking on water. I can also remove the gun crews from my stern and bow chases to give me more available crew. You notice at the top left hand side that my side armor bar is going back up. My stern damage is being repaired. However, my rudder damage is still staying. I need to do an urgent repair by 5 and 4 to fix rudder, pump, or magazine damage. Now, I'll maneuver a bit, repair up, and once the repair is finished, I'll re-engage. Now, let's speed up the video. So, as you probably noticed, I still have chain shot loaded on my starboard side. I could have elected to reload with ball ammunition as I was turning around, but at this range I might as well just maximize the damage I can do to his sails before changing it to solid ball. Firing high, as much as I can. That was a bad shot, I must admit. Even though I've been playing for several years, I'm still doing a few mistakes. Naval action is definitely a resource management when it comes to a crew, and is also an exercise in multitasking. Now let's turn around and get a better armor at him and re-engage. At this range, I do find my stern chasers start to lose their effect. Their accuracy goes down if you're using carronades, and your turn will affect your firing arc faster. Now, nighttime is coming. The day and night cycle in naval action is quite faster than a regular day, so just be aware you will fight both in the light and in the dark during a combat. Now I do want to move into a position where I get into his rear again, getting those stern rakes in. It will, however, take just a bit of maneuver to do so. We might eat a broadside doing this, but we might as well give him one too. Doing just a ranging shot, checking my height and elevation, and then firing. Fired a bit late, means most of my shots will pass his rear. Now, time to turn. And you'll notice I'm shifting from one side to the other fairly frequently. That is me moving my crew around. You need to look down the side you're actually firing from to enable or disable the crew. More on that in the second episode of Colony. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Now to make my turn circle slightly smaller, I can decrease my stay sails. Rudder is damaged, I'll initiate a repair. If it was my pump that was damaged, I would not repair it until I actually need my pump, either for fighting a fire or pumping out water from leaks. Timing your repairs can actually mean the difference between life and death. Now, once again, my side armor is down. His broadside is heavier than mine, he has bigger guns. So I do not want to put myself broadside to broadside with him, because he will sink me faster than I can sink him. However, let's see if we can get a few rakes in, take down his central structure and damage his crews and internals. Once again, positioning and timing is what you need here. And what? Be aware that he does have 424 crew left versus our 575. Well, 750. So, hold D power just to make the maneuver a bit better. Use my sails to turn in behind him. Now this does require practice. Keep your speed above 3.5, otherwise he will board you. 3.5 is the maximum number to initiate a boarding. Once again, our aim is off. We did, however, take out his rudder. Now we'll keep turning here behind him and slow ourselves down a bit. We might actually be able to reload before he gets turned away. Or he might turn the other way. Luckily, it looks like he's playing ball. Now, I could fire just one shot at a time. Make sure I hit. Practice my aim. You'll notice that hitting him in the stern, his armor is completely removed. And I'm not doing any damage to his sides. However, I am taking out his central structure. And that is the effect of stern rakes. You fire down the length of the ship into his internals, making it easier for you to sink him if he has high armor on the sides. A good frigate captain in a 5th rate can take down a 2nd rate if he plays it well. Now let's come about. Re-engage with the other side. Now notice his pump and rudder is both redded out. The only repair an NPC can do is actually moving his rudder and pump and magazine from completely damaged to only slightly damaged, indicated by the yellow. An NPC cannot, as we can as players, repair his armor and structure damage or sail damage. But for now, he'll be at a permanent penalty in his turning by his rudder damage, and he'll also have a decreased pump ability. Means his ability to fight fires and to pump out water from leaks is diminished. Time to get another rake in. He is already turning. Now that was a good rake. You see how much damage I did to his central structure? He's now down to 50% of his central structure. Once that reaches 0, he will sink inevitably. However, once he actually reaches 20% remaining structure, he will start taking on water, and with a damaged pump, he'll go down fast. Now let's see if we can stay behind him before he makes another turn. 9-pounders are up. £32 are up. Get high. Get in behind him. And my 36-pounders up. Now he's almost dead in the wind, so I might as well slow down here a bit, stabilize the platform, and then fire. And that overshot him. Now, I will turn away and do a repair. Now, with the repairs well underway, I have noticed, however, I'm down to 530 crew. 530 crew is 120 less than my starting crew. Now, usually I do not initiate my surgeon until I'm 200 crew down. However, for the purpose of the video, let's talk about using your surgeon. Pressing 5 to bring up the repair menu gives you the ability to also press 3, initiating the surgeon. This uses rum to replenish your crew casualties, and it will take or give you back 25% of what you have lost. It takes 5 minutes to count up, and it has a cooldown of 25 minutes, which is why on bigger ships it's important to time when you actually use it. However, let's press 3 and notice the crew count in the lower left. it will slowly tick up. It's not an instant thing. It will slowly tick up and give you crew back. And once again, we have the weather and the positioning, and he is slowed down to 63% of his initial sales. So we might as well play a bit with him. You see, there's a high chance my shots will ricochet off his rounded bow, as only 18 out of 39 actually found their targets. However, once more we have taken out his pump to full damage. He is, however, not leaked, so he will not be taking on mortar. Now, my repairs are finished, so let's turn and re-engage. Now, knowing how your enemy maneuvers gives you the ability to predict their movement. Make sure you'll find yourself in an optimal position to counter their movement. So if I've timed this right, I should be able to turn and get in behind him again for another rake. Now, I'm a big advocate of stern rakes, if that isn't obvious. Some people will try to actually just leak another ship out. If you can get in on the right side of them as they're heeling over and fire into their hull below the waterline, you can do a massive amount of leaks, and with the right number you can sink any ship fairly quickly. Takes a bit of practice, a bit of doing, and it does backfire at times, as the enemy ship might get a few good broadsides in if you don't get the leaks right. So, coming in behind him. Once more. Timing is everything. Here we go. Most one. Turning. Do it well. We should get in with another broadside from the other side. Now see, we only did slight damage to his structure. However, he is moved into the second last of his 5 central segments of structure. Once you get into that final segment below this point, you will take on water and sink over time. If he keeps turning, we might actually be able to just reload and get in behind him with the same broadside. It's going to slow us down here for a bit. Now he is turning. Nope. Some damage, but not a lot. Once more we'll turn and try to rake him. Now look at the clock in the top center. We still have 50 minutes to take him down, and he is a bigger ship than us, so I do advocate take your time, get to know your ship, and don't rush it. Naval action is not a game of speed and too much instant action. Take your time, be patient, and get into the right positions, and keep your own ship safe. Will make it much more enjoyable and fun in the long run than just rushing through it. Now, another option you have in combat is range. If you know your ship is better armored than the enemy and you can angle a bit, you can stay at range and use your gun loadout if you have long guns or other type of special guns loaded. Doing so will mean you can penetrate the enemy at better ranges than him, so use that to your advantage. The enemy will be decked out with medium cannons. Going back to the gunner video, we know there are something called long guns, blown fields, and kangaroos, which will outshoot mediums. So if I stay at this angle, make sure my range is good. I can engage him at range and take him down that way. Just be aware of the damage and penetration drop off at ranges. And you'll see, as I said before, as I'm laying broadside to broadside with him, I might be the one taking the most damage. However, I know my ship and I know his amount of damage will take him down soon. So I can afford to stay here for one more broadside, or I can close in by angling before he sinks. So let's give him another pounding after we slowly move closer. Checking the range. Slightly high. Now you see some of my shots don't penetrate. That'll be the 9-pounders. At this point, with the damage pump and almost down to 20% structure, he is taking on water, and you'll notice his water line is slowly coming down. Now, before he sinks, we need to make sure that we are in a position to actually loot him once the combat is over. And right now, he's upwind of us, so we need to maneuver into a position where we can actually loot him once he sinks. Be mindful, the NPCs in naval action will try to sink in the most disadvantaged position and deprive you of the loot if they can. So sometimes it's better to take your time and hold off firing the last broadside to get in a position to loot before you actually commit to fully sinking him. So I'll do a bit of maneuver and come back once I have. Now, as we move into position to completely sink him, there's one thing I want you to notice. You will see I have initiated a repair as I'm still being fired upon and I'm fairly damaged on my starboard side. You'll also notice in the bottom that the 8 area, or my survival crew focus, has gone up, and I now require 63 crew to manage the pump and initiate critical repairs. Now my pump is damaged, and that is why I need the 63 crew. So I'll initiate a critical repair, urgent repair, repair the pump, and as soon as my repairing of holes and other damages is done, you'll notice that the urgent survival crew focus goes down back to 0. Now coming in behind him, another thing to notice is also that the enemy is taking on water. You'll see his lower gun decks is almost submerged. Having his pump damage means that he cannot keep up with the amount of water he's taken on. So he is slowly sinking. However, he will keep firing until he's completely sunk. Now, I could just leave him to be and let him sink over time. However, as I want to maximize the XP output, I will keep firing on him, as XP is gained by the amount of damage you do in a combat and not just from killing. Designed as a multiplayer game, you don't just get XP for getting a kill. The XP is locked to the amount of damage and type of damage you do. So the more you hit hull, sails, or do module damage, the bigger your XP gain will be from a combat. So it's not a matter of who gets the kill, it's a matter of who makes the most damage. Now he's almost sunk, so let's move into positions to put him out of his misery. One thing we haven't covered yet is the special type of damage called fires. Now, fires aboard a wooden ship with a lot of tar and gunpowder is a serious business. Any ship caught on fire that doesn't allocate enough crew to fight the fire may find the fire spreading and eventually reaching the magazine. Any ship that has a fire reaching the magazine will explode. And exploding ships are dangerous not only to the ship itself but also to everyone around it. So for any ship on fire, stay well clear and hope they don't explode. More on this later. Now we'll move in behind him and just firing into him a bit, maximize that XP output, and we'll go up on the side of him. Now I still need to be careful of my speed here, because he may still yet initiate a boarding if he has more crew than me. He does not. Now going too slow, most of my shots will miss. However, did you just see that? We actually demasted him. Repeated stern rakes will demast an enemy ship over time, as firing down the length of his internal structure will also damage the bottom of his mast. But by repeated rakes, we have also demasted him. Now you see he's fairly below the water, but I should be able to get close enough and still loot him. Warships tend to carry doubloons and upgrades, maybe at times some cannons. Trade ships will usually have doubloons and trade items so they can sell it in another port. Be aware that you do need to have the cargo space for whatever you want to take. Now, pressing X, once more opening up the hold, transfer the items into your own hold, and you can also check out the enemy ship by hovering over it. Live oak saboteur build. Makes sense. Now, if this was after a boarding and you will do this, you will have the ability to actually transfer crew onto the other ship to take it a prize and drag it into port, or sink it. This ship has already sunk. There's nothing I can do about it. Pressing cancel or escape will bring me out of this menu. And that was a basic combat in naval action. Now, a few more things, but first, let's get back to the open sea. As we come out of the battle, we'll see how much reals we made on the combat and how much XP we got on our main level and on the ship itself. Now, I'm finding myself fairly out to this open sea. If I want to, I can actually repair and refit at sea. Pressing F or clicking the icon will bring up my fleet management overview. So I get this. First is my player information. I can access my upgrades and my money chest. However, I cannot interact with these items. I can only see what I'm carrying. I can also see my current rank, how long I've been at sea, what time it is, and how much money I actually have. All fair and well. Well, what's interesting is this section. I have a scroll bar down here where I can slide to the side if I'm having more ships with me. In a fleet of up to 4, I can access these ships and repair them out of combat. I can also take my own ship, hover over the picture of it, bring up the stats, and down here I can actually see my crew. I can also see the condition of my ship. Hovering on an icon will let me show how much armor I have left and how my sails, rudder, pump, and magazine are doing. If I press the same icon, it will bring up a repair section. It will show me how many repairs I have and how many I need to fully repair my ship. If I confirm, it will fully repair my ship and I can continue my combat. If I press cancel, the damage will stay. I can also, by using the slider, select how much damage I want to repair. Same for my sails, I can repair those too. And down here, I can actually see how much available crew I have. Now, the dark gray shows me how much crew I have on my given ships. The lighter gray shows me how much free crew I have. So, if I have an 853 crew, I can actually allocate fleet crew onto my ship and thereby replenish my crew at sea. Remember to click apply changes. Now, if I've just captured a ship, I would be able to move around in here and allocate crew to that captured ship. Remember to press apply changes. Another option is to head into port and repair in the port. So, I'll see you in port. Now, as we're finally back to port, we have the option to repair here. Pressing the repair tab down here, indicated by the hammer and chisel, I can bring up a simple reals for repairs. It'll show you how much it will cost to repair your ship fully, and pressing confirm will restore your ship to full working condition. We can also go into the crew transfer menu and transfer crew to and from our ship, and we can hire a new crew to make sure our free crew is fully up. Also, be careful about your amount of repairs. Now, you need to have hull and rum to be ready for the next combat. Now, in port, I can also transfer whatever loot I have gained. In this case, doubloons. I can move to my money chest so they are safe should my ship sink, and I can move any upgrades to my upgrade chest to either use or sell later. If it was some sort of trade item, I can move them from my ship to my warehouse if I have a warehouse in that port I'm in, and if not, I can sell it in the shop. Also, check the shop for any repairs. However, this has none. So for now, I need to continue by only what I have in my hold. Still have 125, which gives me 5 repair cycles, more than plenty, and I do have rum enough for 1 or 2 cycles more. Well, I should now be fine and ready to head back out. So this concludes our combat of naval action basics. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, and check out the other content on the channel. And until next time, stay safe.